And I think I was scared that that's what I was a little bit scared that that's what I just finished filming my June wrap-up. That might go out today or tomorrow. That's pretty much why I'm wearing the same thing. I am really excited for today's vlog because I'm finally getting to more than one book, but there's one in particular that I've been wanting to get to. We are gonna be reading popular BookTok recommendations. I'm not yet sure if this is gonna be 3 books or 4, but I'm gonna show you the 3 books that I'm for sure reading for this video. You've probably seen hundreds of reviews, hundreds of videos, hundreds of book hauls and wrap-ups with these books, but I thought, why not read these books that everybody's talking about and that everybody has been talking about for a while. The first book that's gonna be in this video, and that's probably gonna be the first book I read, is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. People have already read her backlist. How you do it, I will never understand. I can't keep up. But we're finally getting to this. I am super excited because this has been recommended to me so many times, and this was actually sent to me. So I cannot wait to finally start it. As for the other 2 books that I'm gonna be reading, the romance book is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I read Part of Your World, and if I'm not wrong, this follows a character from there. I think I read that like back in December and I really enjoyed it, and I've really been wanting to read this because a lot of people have been talking about it, especially because it has representation for social anxiety. So I really want to read this, and I've heard nothing but good things so far, so I'm really excited about this. Lastly, I bought this book 2 days ago. I shouldn't have because I've already gotten too many books this month, but I just couldn't help myself because I have seen this one recommended so many times and I have literally heard nothing but good things as well. 5 stars all around actually, and people have really been loving this book, and I've seen some editions of it that I just wish I had, aka Fairy Loot. The book I am talking about is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. With how much I was hearing about this book, I had to do it. So these are the books that I am gonna be reading in this vlog. We may or may not have another one. I wouldn't hold my breath. Let's get started.
What we've done, all the while, and irrational.
Okay, so it's been like 2 weeks since I last talked to you. I was honestly kind of in a rut. Like, I was nervous about this book, and so I didn't read for a while, and then I didn't film for a while. I started like this week basically. I finished The Serpent and the Wings of Night yesterday. That's the clip you just saw. I ended up giving this a 4.2 because I really enjoyed it. I definitely saw the aspect of competition. I really liked that. I feel like it's because I've read so much romance in the past like year and a half, and maybe like 1 or 2 fantasies, that I had a little bit of trouble not getting into it, but it was more like I had to remind myself what it is that I fall in love with whenever I read a fantasy book. I just didn't want to just enjoy it for the romance, because obviously it's mainly a fantasy book, and I want to read fantasy and enjoy it because of its main genre as well. That took a little bit of time at the beginning. Once that happened, it was easier to just enjoy the book, which I did. It took me a little bit, but once I did, I really enjoyed it. I had heard that there was a bit of a plot twist, though it wasn't completely unpredictable because it did cross my mind. I still ask myself how I find myself here time and time again, trusting authors when I know I shouldn't, especially in a fantasy book. That plot twist, it kind of hurt. I will admit it. I feel like there wasn't much fight in there as I would have liked to see. If I keep talking, I'm probably gonna spoil it. I also had heard that there wasn't that much world building. I agree, and it kind of feels like a little weird. It just feels like I finally was able to read a fantasy book without inner monologue that's like 6 pages long where the author just info dumps. I think I would have liked to see a bit more of it. As for the characters, I was actually conflicted on how I felt about Raya because it did bother me a little bit that humans were once again like prey, weak, undermined. In the beginning, she was so condescending towards them. Having said that, I think we did see an evolution in her way of thinking, which I appreciated. I also like the romance in the book. I have come from fantasy books I've read recently where it just feels very abrupt. It feels very sudden that this romantic connection appears and there's no build-up, there's no logical progression of it. And I think I was scared that that's what and I was a little bit scared that that's what what I'm trying to articulate is that I was a little bit scared that that was what was going to happen in this book as well. But I think it actually took a little bit more than usual, and I liked it because that time that we didn't get them together and liking each other instantly, I could see moments that helped that build up of their connection, and I really liked that. I will be reading the second and third book, well, the novella and the second book after this, and I can't wait. I don't think I am as obsessed as a lot of people are on TikTok with it, but it did give me kind of like that fantasy competition aspect that I like, and I just really enjoy that. And now we're gonna get, I think, more of a political fantasy in the second book, I think, based on the ending. That's what I'm assuming will happen in the second book. So I can't wait for the next one. I said that I was gonna read 2 more books. The next book, I had planned on it being fantasy, romance, fantasy, but I don't know if it's best to take advantage of the fact that I'm in a fantasy mood to keep going. So I decided to ask on my Instagram which book was gonna be my next one. I asked you guys to help me pick my next read, and as of this morning, y'all picked Divine Rivals as my next read, which I'm really excited about because I've also heard so many good things about the writing and the characters and the plot of this book. I'm gonna check again, but I'm pretty sure Divine Rivals is gonna win over Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. So I'm gonna start reading and you'll see which book won in the next clip. I thought this would be a good time to update you on the second book of this video, which ended up being Divine Rivals. It ended up winning the poll on Instagram. Again, I didn't read for days. It's been like 4 or 5 days since I last talked to you. And since I finished The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I started this yesterday. I wanted to update you when I was like a third of the way through, but then I didn't film. And I also wanted to keep reading. I think I was in chapter 15. You can tell that I already had quite some annotations per se, or some tabs in there. I just wanted to say I was loving it so far. I'm still loving it. And I thought it was a really good sign that very early on I was already annotating and tabbing pages and quotes and stuff because I was really loving it. But it also was making me hurt. I was in chapter 15 and I was already feeling the sadness that the characters feel. This is where I am right now. Maybe I'll finish this today. As of my update right now, I'm on page 222, about to start chapter 30. I have really enjoyed this book. The main reason why is because I was reading last night and it came to me that Iris and Roman, I really hope that's how we pronounce his name, they really remind me of Audrey Rose and Thomas Creswell from the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Carrie Maniscalco. If you don't know, which you probably don't because I don't think I've talked about it here, but Stalking Jack the Ripper is probably one of my favorite YA series I've read. I loved every single book. My favorite one is the second one, Hunting Prince Dracula, and I absolutely loved Audrey Rose and Thomas Creswell together. And they were also, I think, a sort of academic rivals, which they're also here, except it's more like workplace rivals, but at the same time it like has a lot to do with writing, so it feels very much academic rivals. It feels like both, and I just love that trope. Another thing I really like about the book is that this is written in third person. However, it's one of those books where you forget that it's written in third person. This is also mostly because the characters are so fleshed out and they're so developed, and we're spending so much time exploring how they think, why they feel certain things, where they come from. I feel like she's not losing the plot while at the same time really developing the characters, which I really like because it feels like a balance. More often than not, I will feel like a book is more plot driven than character driven, or vice versa. And I'm a more character driven person. That's why I'm often worried whenever I have to read a book written in third person, because I'm scared of feeling a little bit removed from the characters. But I feel like this book has done really well in having a balance between plot and character development, which I absolutely love. I'm also really enjoying the whole plot and the way that the world building is being introduced to us. It's mostly through the letters that the main characters send each other, so it doesn't feel like info dumping and it doesn't feel as overwhelming. So that's another thing the book is doing really well. And lastly, the writing. I am loving it so far. I think it reminded me a little of V.E. Schwab's writing in Addie LaRue, but not nearly as overwhelming. I'm really enjoying it. I'm gonna keep reading, and I will let you know either when I finish it or before tomorrow. I finished Divine Rivals. I'm still debating between two ratings. I gave it a 4.75 for now. It just depends on how much I think about this book in the next few months, whether I'll like bump it to a 5-star or leave it at 4.75. As you can see, yet again, we have quite a few tabs over here. It has been a while since I have read a book, closed it, and then said, now what? What am I supposed to do with my life now? This one's technically not done since there's a sequel coming out in December, I think. But it felt that way, especially with that ending. First of all, I was not expecting that ending. And second of all, I was not expecting something that is stated in the synopsis for the second book, which makes the ending of the first one more painful. I read the end and my thoughts were, oh my god, how are they gonna get out of this now? But I didn't think that we would also have to deal with what the synopsis for the second book says. And so now I'm just panicking because it's painful. But back to the first book. I don't know what else to say that I didn't say in my previous update because everything stayed true. I loved the writing. This is my first time reading a book from this author, like I mentioned before. And again, it reminded me of kind of like lyrical writing, only less overwhelming and less convoluted than in other books. I love the plot. I like that the history of this world doesn't feel so removed or so ancient because the characters are having to live and deal with a part of it now. The other thing I mentioned about the characters stayed true as well. They remind me so much of Thomas and Audrey. The pacing of the book, I think it's really well done because I didn't think that the change of setting or the way the characters develop their relationship or the dynamics with the other characters and how much affection starts growing between them. I didn't think that happened all of a sudden like I've seen in other books I've read. It just felt like very natural that that's where the character had to go, that the characters come together in this specific way. And so I just really like that. But I just didn't want it to end that way. I did question why there were still roughly 70 to 80 pages left if everything seemed to be going right. And then I got my answer not long after. Anyway, as of now, this would definitely be up there with my top reads of this year. That leaves us with the last book of this video, Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I still keep hearing very good things about it, so I'm really excited to get started.
We used to have each other's playlists. No, no. Used to be each other's best friends. Yeah. And now we go our separate pathways.
I started Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez yesterday, and I just finished it a couple of minutes ago. I'm giving this 4 stars. I definitely like her writing. I think it's a page turner and easy to read. It's the type of writing that I can't put down. Like, I have to read the book in one sitting. If you notice, by the time I started filming today, I had very little to still get through. The first thing I want to say is that this is possibly the best representation for social anxiety I have read. It felt genuine, accurate, and what I loved most about this was that the main character, Brianna, was helping Jacob work through it, or kind of accommodate to the things she knew that would make him comfortable and the things that wouldn't, and getting to know those things. Like, she took the time to understand those things. Also, as a doctor, she already had previous knowledge of it. I think what I loved most about this book is the commitment there is to understanding what the other's dealing with, and the fact that social anxiety wasn't treated as it is often in real life, which is as a defect or something that people should get rid of, or something that people are working on to finally be done with, or something that is something that people need to break or change. I just really appreciate this depiction of it. Now, onto the romance. I thought the whole plot about the letters they send each other is one of my favorites. I finished Divine Rivals a little bit ago, and they also have the plot line of sending letters to each other, even though that one was a little bit different. I love to see a connection being built up through writing. I thought it was great. The one thing I didn't like was the miscommunication part, which I had seen people talk about as well. I still don't like miscommunication trope. I don't think I ever will. I did not like it here, that's for sure. I was just waiting for them to finally realize it. This was a very cute romance, one that showed very realistic issues. The concerns that the main characters had were very valid. So the third act breakup didn't feel like that one mishap that came out of nowhere and you just have to get through and that pisses you off and annoys you. I just think it was really well executed. This video took a lot longer than I thought it was going to, but we're finally done. I read 3 of the most popular BookTok books. Final ratings are 4 stars to Truly Yours by Abby Jimenez. I think maybe 4.2. 4.2 for this one as well. And then Divine Rivals. I just love this book, so I gave this a 4.7. With the potential to turn into a 5 stars. Let me know if you've read any of these, if you liked them, if you didn't, and let me know if you like these types of videos. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.